It's not just the motorbikes that go at breakneck speed in Ho Chi Minh City as this economy's rushing to the future. Everyone here is a businessman and you've got to love them for it. On each week in Buy in Asia, we'll review each country or city, leaving you to decide whether to invest or not to invest. To do this, we'll look at taxes, currencies, mortgages, rentability, saleability, and whether it's even legal to purchase property as a foreigner. Welcome to the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Population 86 million, major religion Buddhism, property market booming. Since its entry to the World Trade Organization a few years ago, there's been an entrepreneurial spirit which has caught this market on fire. Having survived colonialism and communism, they're now absolutely embracing capitalism. I first came here in 1998, and the pace of change since I arrived is absolutely incredible. I'm convinced this is a great market to invest in, but it's not for the faint-hearted. Though it's come through the recent financial storm well, there are still many things to watch out for, which is why I caught up with 8-year veteran Mark Townsend to find out about the economy, only to learn that the Vietnamese are buying property with stone-cold cash. So where are they getting their money? I mean, you know, we go back again, this city here, the Ho Chi Minh City, you know, it started off a couple million people when you got here. Unofficially, it's, I think, 8 million people now. How do they earn their money then? They're buying all these properties.
Manufacturing, furniture, garments, construction, infrastructure. There's 85 local banks. There's 75 stockbroking companies, big insurance companies here. All the main players are either state-owned players or joint stock companies.
As a lot of foreign companies are moving in, the entrepreneurial and industrious Vietnamese work ethic has been kicking into high gear too. But with a relatively low pay scale and an infrastructure that is improving but still behind, there's still much to be done as the country speeds ahead into the future. So they're forecasting 20 million people here in the next 15, 20 years, right? So you're going to need that infrastructure. You're not going to get anywhere. And you think this place Ho Chi Minh is going to be ready for that?
I think it's very important to say that, yes, it does look chaotic, but you mustn't confuse chaos on the roads and the hundreds and thousands of motorbikes with traffic. Rarely do you sit for 10 minutes at a traffic light here. It's not like Bangkok or the centre of KL. When I first came here, it was art galleries and tourism, and that's about it. Now we've got Louis Vuitton, posh restaurants, and great retail consumerism. And of course, 5 million motorbikes. They're rushing at breakneck speed in the economy, and these guys are trying to keep us alive. Of course, all of the new shops, restaurants, and the arrival of brand-name goods means that more entrepreneurial overseas Vietnamese and other foreigners are moving here to make the most of the opportunity. That also means that they're looking to invest in property. But there are some caveats to be aware of. I'm here with Alistair. We're going to talk about legal ownership in Vietnam. Strictly speaking, if you're a foreigner, you can't own, right?
Strictly speaking, that's true. If you're doing a big project, then you can get a license to develop something. But to own small houses or apartments, it's a little bit more difficult.
OK, so people do it, obviously, and they kind of skirt around the outsides and own. In terms of you and people that live here, is that done very often, or is it sort of frowned upon?
I guess quite a lot of people have done it. Actually, me, myself, I haven't. Yes, people have done it, and I wouldn't say it's frowned upon because it's basically under the radar.
OK, so there's people that are watching this who are living overseas who are thinking, yeah, I like the idea of Vietnam and I want to get in, but, you know, it's a slightly grey area in terms of the legals. I mean, what are people doing? How can you do it?
There are structures. There are companies that are developers that have managed to set up quite robust structures with offshore ownership of companies that then themselves own properties onshore, and through your shareholding you're allocated an apartment or a villa.
Is that your noise? Is that your building going on there?
Yeah, we're developing an 8-hectare plot here, which will be about 5,500 apartments.
OK.
But this is very much a Vietnamese development for the Vietnamese market.
So, OK, you've been here 15 years. What does the future hold for you and the property market here in Vietnam?
I think, you know, Vietnam is still a developing country. country, on paper, the facts are that we've got a huge population, it's a very young population, and there's a massive demand for housing in this country. So I think the longer-term future is really positive in this country. But that's for the local market. I think for buying to lease to foreigners, it's perhaps a little bit more difficult because there's more and more and more choice.
Incredibly, there's few references to the war here unless you bump into the odd tank. But truly, Vietnam gets on so well with the US these days, particularly as they embrace capitalism. You'd be surprised to know that actually the 7th most spoken language in the US is Vietnamese.
Despite the renewed relationship with the US, Vietnam has a longer-standing relationship with France. French culture is everywhere here, and that's particularly true when it comes to dining. That said, I'm going to speak to Alexander, a restaurant owner, about all things Vietnamese.
Oh, it's got the whole French colonial thing going here, big ceiling fans, very expansive, but I get the sneaking suspicion that much like Vietnam, it's got that real modern vibe to it. Alexander, how are you doing?
Good to see you, Tim.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me. So when did you get here?
18 years ago.
Wow! So you've seen some massive changes.
Yeah, I came practically in the beginning of Doi Moi, the opening up for the new investment possibilities. And when I came here first, there were no taxis, no trucks, no buses, you know, there were bicycles mainly.
Restaurants are a brilliant barometer of sort of cultures and the kind of people moving in. And so what have you seen in sort of 18 years from owning a restaurant and running a business like this? What's the clientele like now compared to 15, 18 years ago?
Of course, it's a bigger clientele because you have, instead of like maybe 10,000 expats, you have like 60,000 expats. But it's also a more fickle clientele. You know? In the old days, you really had people. It was a village. Everybody knew everybody. There was a few places, and it was very loyal. Now, with all these new places opening up and the nouveau riche, they're looking for the new places where they can show off a little bit. You know? So it's less established. The French original genuine cuisine is fading away. I think what they're trying to do, I mean, the people who have the money and spend it are the Vietnamese. So what everybody's trying to do, including me, sooner or later, to get some kind of, I don't like the word fusion, but something which appeals to the local clientele.
Yeah. When Buying Asia returns, I'll take a closer look at the variety of real estate on offer here in Ho Chi Minh City.
I think that there's probably no end to the need of housing in Vietnam.
And I'll show you the type of property I chose to invest in.